How's it going, YouTube? I want to do a bit on the MR2. I've not done anything for a while. I've took it out for a drive a couple of times the last few months, but that's it. I know I've not been doing any videos for a while, but it's all down to time. I've just not had any time for anything, so I thought today I'm going to have a go, see if I can do something. So I'm going to do a bit on the MR2. We're not doing anything with the engine yet. I have still got the V8. It's just sat doing nothing at the minute, mainly because of time, and I ain't got anywhere to do it because I can't do it in this garage. I need to sort out a workshop, then I can do it in there. But I thought today I want to do a little bit on the interior. You can see I've got it all plugged in. Got a little trickle charger on it just so it doesn't go flat while it's sat here, and a dehumidifier. It seems to fill this up once a week, so it's getting quite a bit out of it. But what I want to do today is have a go, see if I can restore these seats a little bit. You can see they're getting a little bit tired on the leather. Obviously the driver's seat a bit more because it's got my fat ass sat on it. But you can see around the arm there, just where it's getting a bit discoloured. There's no rips or tears or anything like that on these seats. They're just literally, it's just wearing off a little bit. So I want to see if I can tidy this up and make this look a bit nicer. A lot of people change the seats for a different type, but I actually quite like the idea of keeping it a little bit more stock inside. That's why I've taken out the plasma dials and I've gone back to the original dials and things like that. And even like those three gauges there, they're a bit more retro looking, so it's a bit more old school inside, which is how I like it. Might have a play with these door cards as well and see what I can do, see if I can posh them up a little bit. Now what I've got here is some of this Furniture Clinic repair paint, leather repair paint. I've heard good things about it, so I'm going to have a play with that, see how it comes out. If it turns out really bad, then you probably won't be seeing this video, and my next video will be me buying some new seats out of a GT86 or something like that. Right, first job is we've obviously got to unbolt these seats. We've got a couple of bolts there, one either side, and then on the back we've also got a couple there as well. So I'm going to take those out, get these seats out. I completely forgot about this cable on the first one. I remembered it on the second one though, so I've got this to repair. I'll get it back on the end of that cable in a minute. I'll do that in a second. Right, as you can see, the overall condition of these seats are actually really good. There's no tears or anything in them. There's just literally this little bits of colour that's come out. So let's make these look nice again, because I do actually like these original seats. Right, and while I'm here, I'm going to whip off these door cards as well, because I'll have a look and see if I can posh these up a little bit while we're at it. I'll not bother showing these coming off, but it's basically, you just pop these out. There's some little covers here, cover there, take those screws out. This brings off this handle and then it all pops off. So I'll see you back in the garage in a minute when we've got all this off. Right, so I've been having a play for the last few days. We're a few days on now. I've done one of them. Let's have a look, see what I've done. Right, I've got one seat done here and I've got one door card kind of done. So let's have a look. What I've done is I've done this in black and then I've done the centre bit in grey. So you can see how it is there. It kind of contrasts it a little bit. I wanted something to look stock but a little less boring than stock. So we've still got the driver's seat to do. We'll do that in a minute and I'll go through how I did it. I've got the door cards here. This is the stock one. There's like a black leatherette stuff on there. So what I've done with this one is I've dyed it grey, and then I've got some of this little red trim stuff. It needs sticking in properly. I've not done it yet. I'll put that in with a glue gun in a bit. I was just testing the idea just to see how it looked. But that's how it's come out anyway. So let's have a look at the products I've used, and then I'll go through how I did it. Whether this is how you're supposed to do it or not, I've got no idea. But what I'll do is I'll go through what I used. I'll go through how I did it. And then we'll get it finished off, get the other one done, and we'll get them back in the car. Right, there's a few products I've been using here. These ones are all Furniture Clinic. I've got the Furniture Clinic because I read somewhere that these are the best sort of ones you can get. So I wanted to do a decent job of it and try and have half a chance of it actually staying on the car. So these are the products I've used. Main one, isopropyl alcohol IPA. This is used for cleaning. One of the main things we need to make sure we get done is the seats need to be clean. I've got two repair paint dyes here, one black and one dark grey. We've got some filler in black to cover on the driver's seat. You see the little creases, the really deep creases that are right back to the material behind the leather. So I'm going to use this filler just to fill in those a little bit before I dye them. I've not used this one yet, but we've got this one to use afterwards. This is a leather finish in a matte. I think what we're going to try and do is I'm going to try and spray this on, because this is like lacquer, you could say. So when you paint your car, that gives you your colour, then you lacquer it, and then that protects it, make sure it stays there. This is same sort of thing. This is like a leather sealer, and it's got a matte finish to it as well, because I didn't want a shiny finish to the leather. I thought they'd look a bit nicer if there was a matte finish. So I've not done this one on the one I've already dyed, so we've got this to do on both of them yet. So let's go through how I did it. Right, first thing I need to do is we need to get these little trims off the side, because we don't want any of the dye on there. So I'm going to strip these off, these two bits here. We'll get those off, and then we'll give the seat a clean with the IPA. Right, next job, I'm going to take some of this IPA in a rag and give it a good clean and get all the greases and everything off. Right, next thing I'm going to do is I've got 800 grit sanding disc, and I'm literally going to rub the whole seat and just rough it all up. You've got to give the dye something to adhere to, because when you we put a bit of heat on it and it soaks it in, but we need to open up all the pores on this leather, so a bit of 800 grit. Be careful around the stitching, because you don't want to go over that too much. But the main leather, I want to give it a good rubbing with this sandpaper. So that's what I'm going to do now. Right, once you're sure your seats are really trashed, then we'll go over it again with the IPA, make sure they're clean. You can never get them too clean. So that's my next thing. I'll go over it again, give it a good clean, and then we're ready to do some restoring then. Right, the general condition of the seats, now it's all done, is not too bad. There's just a little crease here. It's not ripped or anything. It's just a really deep crease that's actually gone through the leather, and you can see the material behind it. But it's still strong enough. Everything else, it doesn't really need repairing. Everything else should cover perfectly fine. It's just putting the colour back into the seats again. So this bit here, we're going to get some of that filler, and we're going to use some of that. Right, with Furniture Clinic Heavy Filler in black, what it says to do is apply it in thin layers, drying in between each layer with a hairdryer. What I've got is a heat gun. I'll put that on a low heat and I'll use that to dry it. That's what I use also for the dye. So what we'll do is we'll give it a go. I've got a little plastic scraper thing. I'm going to put this on and we're going to just apply it over there, dry it, and then we'll do that a few times, see how it looks, give it a good sand, get it to blend in a bit, and then we'll dye it. So let's give that a go, shall we? Right, I'll do that, I'll give it a few more layers, get it to blend in a bit better than that. All right, I'll see you when it's finished. There we are, that's all the same height and everything now. Obviously you can see the patch obviously because that's the filler, but once we start dyeing that in, that should blend in a bit better. The ridge is gone, it's nice and flat now. So let's have a look at this dye and see if we can get a bit of colour into this. Right, this repair paint here, there's a few ways to apply this. This is pretty similar to that filler, where you put it on in thin layers and then dry it in between each layer. The best way to put this on, obviously, is spray it. I have got all the spray stuff over there, but I think most people haven't, so I'm going to do it a different way, which makes it a little bit easier for everybody just to do at home. And that's basically applying it with a sponge. So what I'll do is I'll get this knife, I'll cut a bit of sponge off, and then I'll dab it on and I'll sponge the dye around. For the first few layers it looks absolutely terrible and you think, oh my god, what have I done? But it does get better as you build up the layers, because as soon as you apply a bit of heat to it, it sucks the dye into the leather and starts colouring it. But it does take a few layers to get it to get it right. Obviously this middle bit I'm going to do a grey, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the black all around the edges and then the back of the seat, and I'll get all the black done first and then we'll worry about the grey. So let's get this black on, shall we? What I do for the first layer is just give it a wipe, just like you're cleaning it really, but a bit lighter. Don't put too much on. You only want a really thin layer, because if you put too much on, when you put the heat onto it, it makes it kind of like bubble up and go a bit weird. I know that from experience. So make sure you put this on in really thin layers. Right, so that's the first pass. I'll put a bit of heat onto it, which will instantly dry it out, and then we'll go again, and I'll do a few more times until I'm happy with that, and then we'll move on to the rest of the seat around there and get it all done. Right, you can see how that's instantly dried all that out. So right, I'm going to do a few more layers on this and keep on going until I'm happy with the result. I'm going to do all that, do the sides, do the back of the seats, and then I'll see you back when it's all done. Right, there we are. There's all the black done. You can't really tell a lot of difference at the minute because obviously it's black, but it's a nice matte finish now. So that's all that done. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the grey. This is exactly the same. We'll sponge it on, dry it in between each layer. This takes a few more layers because it's a colour change. This gap here where it changes, on that one, what I did was I masked it off with some masking tape and then did it, and what I found, as soon as you put heat on it, it pulls all the colour and it kind of mixes the two and it makes a real mess of your join. So what I ended up doing with that one was I got right close to the edge and then I painted it in with some fine brushes and just took my time, and as you can see it worked out fine. But using the masking tape, it really didn't work out good at all. I did it a couple of times. First I did it with the grey first and then masked it off and painted the black, and it made a mess. So then what I did was I masked off the black and then I did the grey and it made a mess again. It's literally, as soon as you put the heat on, it kind of like pulls it across the tape. It's awful. So you can't do it like that. So doing it with a fine brush just around the edge, that seemed to sort it out nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this one back now, and I'm going to start this one and we'll sponge on some grey. Because it's a colour change, you'll notice this one takes a few more layers before you start noticing a decent finish. Well, the first one looks like a right mess, so don't worry about that, that's just how it is. But I need to keep away from these edges. I'll do those a bit later as I get further into it. Right, there you are, there's the first one. As you can see, it looks a complete mess. Don't try getting it so it's a solid colour. Let it build up itself. Let's dry this one off. Right, first one done. I'm going to get a few more on. Remember not to pile it on, just to be really careful with it and just put it on nice thin layers. Just let it build up itself slowly and get a bit of a solid colour. I'll see you in a few more layers. Right, there we are, that's after 4 coats. That's brought in the colour nice now, that. Right, what I'm going to do now is this back bit here, I'm going to finish it off around the edges. I'm going to get those little fine brushes, and then I'm going to paint in around the edges and dry those off as well. I'm going to do that now. Right, I'm going to give it a few more coats, carry on all the way around the edge. I'm going to move this camera out of the way just so I can get in a bit closer. Right, I'll see you all when this bit's done. What I'll do actually is I'll do that one as well, and then we'll get it all done, and then let's have a look at it once I've been round all the lot. Do the same as that. Right, there we are, second one done as well. I'm going to leave that for a couple of days now just to make sure they've really dried off. You don't have to, but I'm going to leave it for a couple of days, and then we're going to come back. And what we'll do is we'll apply this leather finishing sealant thing. So we'll get that on later. Before I leave this, I'm going to sort this bit out as well. This trim here, I'm going to gouge it out. Look, you can just literally gouge it out and pull it out. And then what I'll do is I'll get some of that grey, the same as that, and I'll put it on this one, dry it off, and then I'll come back in a few days. We'll sort that out, then we'll get the glue gun out, and we'll do this bit as well and stick this red bit down. There's that one done. I've got all this trim out. I'll leave that for now. This is the trim I've got to put in. This is just some stuff off of Amazon, some little pushing trim stuff. All this stuff actually, all this dye and everything, I got it all off of Amazon, so I'll put some links down below if you want to use the same stuff. Right, I'm going to move this out of the way, and we've got to do the seats next. I'm just going to leave them for a couple of days, but for you it'll be literally the next thing, so I'll see you back in a second. Right, I've done one, but I had to do it different. Let's have a look why. Right, the one on the left, that's done. That's got the final coat on it, so that should be nice and protected now. You can see the one on the right, that's the one that we've not done yet. This is just the colour. So this is a nice satin finish. What I had originally was this matte finish one, because I thought I didn't want it to be shiny like this. I wanted it to be a bit more matte. So I put this matte finish on one, but it went really, really flat. I didn't like the look of it at all. It was like it made this go all grey and looked horrible. So I thought I'll try the satin and see how that one looks. So I bought the satin one. This one, as you can see, this is the kind of finish that I wanted. I didn't want it too shiny. A nice looking soft leather, which is how it's come out, and I quite like this finish. What I also noticed with this one when I was putting it on, I don't know if it's the same with the satin, it could be. I was putting it on with a sponge, the same as we did the colour, but it was leaving it a bit streaky looking. So what I've ended up doing was I've got my spray gun out and I've put some of that in there and sprayed it on. That's what I've ended up doing. So whether the satin one's the same, I don't know. I was trying to do it in a way where everybody can do it at home, but I've used the gun. I think you can get one of these furniture clinic repair kits, and it comes with like a little spraying kit or something. I've seen those, but it's come out a lot better finish using the spray. So what we'll do now is I'll get this one out of the way, and then we'll do that one and I'll show you how I did it. I basically just sprayed it on and then used the heat gun just to dry it off again, the same as we did before with everything else. And then I've left it a few days just to see how it's ended up, and I think it's ended up fine. So let's get that one finished now. Right, so I've put some of that satin in that gun, so all I'm going to do is spray a bit on there, then dry it off with this, just the same as I did with the dye. It's a bit overkill, this gun. I have got a little airbrush, but it takes forever, and I don't want it to take forever. There we are, that's both of them done. I've got the plastics back on as well, so this is how they look now, and this is the finished look. We'll get those back in the car in a second. Next job is I've just got a glue gun there. I'm going to pull this red trim back out, stick a bit of glue behind it with the glue gun, and then push it back in. I'm not going to video that, it's a bit boring to be honest, so I'm going to do that next, and then we'll get the car back together and put those in, and let's have a look, see what it looks like. So I'll see you back when these are in the car. Right, I've got it in, but that sun's proper harsh, so I'll just wait for that sun to get out of the way. You can see the door cards actually. There's the door cards. I might actually do something with those again because my hot glue skills weren't the best, but I think they look alright. Let's wait for this sun to get out of the way and then we'll have a look at these seats. Right, sun's gone down a bit, let's have a look. There we are. There's the seats in. I think they look nice now. A lot better than what they did before. Really good finish. And that satin finish on them looks nice. It looks a lot more classy than a really shiny finish. So yeah, looks good. What do you think? Comment below. Nice. Right, with all the stopping and starting and everything else, that's literally start to finish. That's took me about a month, that, just for getting to time to do it. So anyway, we've got through it, we've got them back in, and I think that looks good. So comment below what you think, see if you like it as well. Hopefully I'll get around to starting the engine soon. I've actually got an Apple CarPlay system I need to fit in that as well. I want to get that done so I can take the navigation off the windscreen. So I'm going to do that at some point, but hopefully I'll get around to getting this engine started soon and we can get on with that as well. So my videos are a bit random, so subscribe if you want to see some more, and like the video if you liked it. I'll catch you guys later. Cheers.